Hello and welcome back to this stage. I'm happy to see you all here. We have a phenomenal next panel coming up, and if you've been around cars lately, or maybe the last years, you know that in-car entertainment has really made a huge shift. Some call it the revolution, so maybe Dolby calls it the revolution of in-car entertainment, maybe infotainment. They have a brilliant title. The immersive sound technology is set to drive a revolution in the in-car entertainment. I'm talking about our next panel from Dolby. I'm so happy that they are here, and they have with them Charly Lippoth, Andreas Ehret, SCHILLER, and is moderated by Peter Hardenacke. Please welcome on stage.
Hi everybody, welcome to Dolby. First of all, my name is Peter Hardenacke. Maybe some of you will know me from Formula One, because I'm covering the F1 for Sky Germany. Came back yesterday, to be honest, from Zandvoort, where the Dutch Grand Prix took place. It was a great honor to be there. The Orange Party with Max Verstappen. So it was great to be there. Now I'm happy to be here with Dolby, because it's also, in a way, about cars and sound. It's about Dolby Atmos Music, and I'm so delighted because I had the possibility today to experience it, and I have to say, I will never forget it again. I have so many questions about it, and these are the men who can answer all my questions. I'm sure about it. So, from the left to the right, it's Charly Lippoth from Cinemo. A warm welcome. Nice to see you, Charly.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, please. It's Christopher von Doilen, better known as SCHILLER, a famous artist and creator of music. Good to see you, Christopher. And last but not least, Andreas Ehret from Dolby. And we are going to talk right now, but first, you have to see this.
Welcome to Dolby Atmos Music for the car, where you will be fully immersed and transported inside the song. Traditionally, music has come from just left and right. With Dolby Atmos, sound comes to life all around you. With depth, clarity, and a richness that brings you even closer to the songs that you love. Dolby Atmos Music, transforming what you hear into what you feel.
So, let's start the discussion. We have plenty to talk, I would say. Andreas, I want to start with you. First of all, to introduce the audience with the technology, Dolby Atmos. Can you explain us what it is about and how it works?
Okay, I'll try. Do my best. So first off, thanks everyone for coming. It's really a pleasure to be here in person, in real life. So that's that's an awesome experience already. Now, Dolby Atmos, it's probably well known as a technology for immersive sound. First started in the cinema first, for audio that's all around you, that's spatially accurate, that recreates a natural sound scene all around you, including overhead and the preciseness and accuracy. And it really was a paradigm shift in what audio means. You know, so we introduced that back in 2012 in the cinema, and fast forward today, it's pretty much mainstream across audio video services like Disney Plus or Apple TV, Netflix, and what have you. And we've been now introducing it for music, or applying it to music as well, and we're introducing it in cars. That's why we're here. So maybe that's as a start.
And Christopher, for you, as an artist, tell us, what does it mean to work with this kind of technology, also for your work? It must have been a game changer, right?
Definitely, yes. Thank you to Dolby for this invitation, because for me, as an artist, Dolby obviously is, well, it's a dream come true, because back in the 80s, I was very, very happy about the denoising patent of Dolby, and of course, I also followed the path of the development towards Dolby Pro Logic and the first surround codecs, so to speak. But now with Dolby Atmos, it's like rediscovering music. It's stereo, of course, is nice and offers a lot of opportunities to somehow position your music in space. But compared to Dolby Atmos, stereo is like mono, sorry to say. Dolby Atmos gives us so much more space and so much more possibilities to express ourselves and to somehow invite the audience into the actual realm of music and of soundscapes, that I think once you listened to music in Dolby Atmos, you never want to go back.
I can tell you, because like I said, I experienced today, it was amazing. Andreas, you've been working together with the music industry since a long time. Can you give us an insight what it is all about?
Yeah, okay. So, as I explained in the beginning, we developed Dolby Atmos originally as a format that accompanies the picture. And we have a few years ago also thought about, well, the format is such generic, and genuine that you can apply it to much more content types. And music, in Dolby, we're of course music lovers. So many of us are musicians. It's a very emotional thing, music. And we were always thinking, of course, there's a heritage and a legacy around music in Dolby, and we said, well, it totally makes sense to also try to use Dolby Atmos for music. That really means, like, take away the screen, really go in and try to experiment what it is with music. And that's experiments we started around about 5 years ago, and fast forward today, we've been really working with the music industry to form strategic partnerships, like with the likes of like Universal Music or Warner Music, working with the creative industry, like SCHILLER, right, and working with artists and producers to really say, hey, now we want to perfect this. So because our own experiments is only so good, but you really have to work with the industry and how they function, what they like to hear, and the resonance was overwhelming. Artists fall in love with it, right? And thanks for the kind words here. But it's really in each demo or engagements I have with musicians and also producers and mixers and sound engineers, they're always blown away with the possibility and what they can do with it. So.
And the great news is that Dolby Atmos can now also be experienced in the car. Can you tell us also about it a bit more?
Yeah, sure. That's why we're here. So maybe just to further explain a bit more, Apple Music, for example, was also an interesting one that happened. So Dolby Atmos Music is already available in services today. So it's the car is the new piece, but it is already available on services today. Around about, I think it was in June. In June 1st, the service started with Apple Music. So they call it spatial audio, and there's Dolby Atmos behind it. And that means you already today can experience Dolby Atmos music on mainstream services like Apple Music, but also, for example, Tidal or Amazon Music HD. So we're really gaining ground. And now we took the idea of saying, hey, music listening in cars is a main use case, obviously. So what's relevant in the car, and so putting it together and say, okay, now the industry trend in cars of streaming music into cars, connected cars becomes mainstream, becomes more usable, and now is exactly the right time to also bring Dolby Atmos music into cars. And the car is a perfect environment to listen to music. It's your private space. you're surrounded by speakers already, so we're leveraging what's already there. And yeah, it's just in that sense, it's probably, I would maybe claim, but well, I'm driving automotive business in a way, but I would claim it's the best place to actually listen to Dolby Atmos music, because it's just the perfect environment.
Yeah, and creating immersive in-car audio is not just about the numbers of speakers, of course, much more is required. For this reason, we have Charly here from Cinemo, an absolutely expert when we talk about this. But first of all, Andreas, there will be a nice collaboration between Dolby and Cinemo, right?
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, I'm super happy to announce that with Cinemo, we're launching or making this public today. So we have a partnership with Cinemo. Cinemo is launching or integrating Dolby Atmos into their products, and I'm sure Charly will talk about his role and Cinemo's role as well, what they offer. So he can explain that much better than we can. But maybe also just sharing one story. When we engaged or started engaged with the automotive industry to say, how do we bring Dolby Atmos music to life? It was the first trip I did. I went to Karlsruhe, to their home base, and said, look, you guys are the market leaders for what we need. You're a critical piece of the puzzle for what we need to light up, and here is our ideas. How do we? And we had a standing relationships already, and we said, okay, now let's work together. And yeah, so this really marks a milestone for me today. Yeah, and I'm super happy and excited to announce Cinemo as a official partner.
Well,
And I
thanks,
think
Andreas.
Charly is
Yeah,
as well happy.
very happy. Couldn't be happier to be here. It's really exciting for us as a company that's focused on bringing infotainment into the cars. We're 100% focused on creating exciting experiences in the car, and partnering with Dolby Atmos is a milestone for us as well. I also had the chance to enjoy the first demo of what we've been working on together, and for me the closest analogy is, if you think about video, for example, it's really like going from black and white to color. The experience of Dolby Atmos in the car is so profound. It's such a great sensory experience, and yeah, I also don't want to go back to normal stereo listening in the car.
And you have already a great experience with the automotive industry. Can you tell us maybe something about the brands you have already worked together?
Right, so we've been working in automotive since 2008. We've worked with pretty much all the big brands. Some we can name, others we can't. But to give an example, we've worked with BMW, with Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, Toyota, GM. So there are a lot of brands that we've worked with, we have experience with, and we provide so-called middleware. So we see ourselves as a company that enables brands to really bring their vision to life, what they want to offer to their consumers as a brand. We give them the building blocks that then allows them to put the pieces together, add their branding, their customer experience around it, and really create these great experiences. And I think a lot of us have had the experience that we are so accustomed to a certain level of being able to enjoy content, be it on our phone, be it in the home, that when we get into the car and we have to make compromises, it's a difficult compromise to make. So we really see ourselves in a key position in helping OEMs to make sure that consumers do not have to take a step back when they get into the car. On the contrary, we want to take what works great at home or on the mobile phone, and help them translate that experience, amplify that experience inside the car. And as Andreas said, the car, I also find, is a perfect cocoon to enjoy Dolby Atmos in. You have nothing that's obstructing the experience. You don't have, furniture that wasn't there yesterday that's there today. Everything is in place. Everything has been tuned and calibrated to perfection. And you just sit inside the car, start your entertainment system, and you can enjoy Dolby Atmos. And it's amazing.
Schiller, creating immersive in-car audio starts, of course, in the recording studios. Can you give us an insight how the process looks like to create and maybe also to produce immersive in-car audio?
Well, I think it has been mentioned before, but the biggest advantage of Dolby Atmos in a car is that the audience can't run away, right? Because you're sitting there in the sweet spot, and that's also the position we are sitting in the studio. So we have a certain setup, a certain speaker setup, which is calibrated to the mixing console, and so we create all these immersive bits and pieces to somehow offer this dreamlike, atmospheric, cinematic experience for the listener, for the audience. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the living room experience, we have no idea how that living room looks like. Some are smaller, some are bigger. Sometimes the speakers are maybe not really that calibrated. Sometimes it's the wrong speakers. So in the car, we have a nearly perfect control of how we create the mix. And we know that it sounds actually the same in the car for the audience and for the music lover, so to speak. And that's a big advantage for us because we can be much more daring. We don't have to find a compromise and figure out, okay, this might sound nice on a perfectly calibrated system, but we have to be careful because we don't want to overdo it. But now we can really create much more daring and much more deep immersive audio experiences. So again, for me, working in the studio, it's like sometimes I feel like a child in a candy shop, actually, because there are so many opportunities, and of course sometimes less is more. And yet I think the best experience of any immersive sound and of Dolby Atmos in particular is when you do it with courage, but also with a musical approach. It's like you compared it earlier to the transition between black and white and color. If we compare this to the transition between 2D and 3D, the first 3D movies constantly threw stuff towards the camera, so to demonstrate the possibilities of the system, right? But it gets tiring after a while, and it gets a little bit too cliche. So now it really it becomes an art form to somehow use this opportunity and this universe, this sound universe, in a very particular and very bold yet careful way. And I'm looking forward to the things to come.
That sounds really great, Andreas. And the question is, are there already some cars available with this technology?
Yeah, of course. So there's one car OEM that we announced with. That was Lucid. So that's already known. So their cars will have Atmos available in all their lineups. And besides that, of course, we have our own prototype and demo cars. We've also worked with a number of tier ones to create demos and prototype cars. And we're quite. We're taking a step-by-step approach, and there's not more to announce today, but there's more news coming, so that's for sure.
What do you think? What will be the schedule? When is there more to expect, maybe?
There's nothing I can announce today.
I'm a journalist, Andreas, so I have to ask it, of course. So my last question is, when we look maybe to the future, what is there more to come? What is your vision? Maybe all of you, when we start with you, Charly.
So the expectation from the consumers when it comes to entertainment is only going to grow. When they're in the car, they're going to be expect to have everything at their disposal that they're used to of being able to access at home or on the go via mobile devices. So we, for sure, the music experience is going to be really high up on the list. Next to music, there are also podcasts, there's audiobook experiences that would benefit tremendously from a Dolby Atmos immersive experience. We're also actively working on projects where we're bringing video on demand, premium video on demand into the car. And there, the use cases with the electrification of more cars, there are just more use cases available where even the driver would have opportunities when the car is being charged to enjoy video. There is that time that you need to bridge. So that's certainly coming. We are also seeing that the infotainment or entertainment in the car used to be very driver focused. And of course, the driver is probably the person that bought the car, There should be a lot of emphasis put on that person, but there will also be other people in the car a lot of times. So we see it as an opportunity to allow entertainment to be shared across multiple seats. That's one use case. It doesn't mean that everybody has to share the same thing. You could have also entertainment bubbles, if you will, right, where different seats are sharing something. Or you could have extreme situations where every seat really wants to enjoy something different. It can be in the form of music, video, also gaming. We're seeing a lot of interest for in-car gaming. So yeah, the future is going to be very, very exciting. And I think brands are also seeing the infotainment and in-car entertainment as a way to express their brand identity to the consumers. So it's a really very exciting space to be in.
Sounds exciting. Schiller, what is your vision for the future?
Well, I think after a period of time where the quality of music became less important and the accessibility was the main focus. So for many decades, everything in terms of technical development was about to create a better sounding recording and culminating in the CD, obviously. But after that, that didn't matter anymore because it was just, the question was how many tens of thousands of tracks you can have in your pocket with you. And the actual sound quality wasn't that much of an issue anymore. So I'm very, very happy that now with Dolby Atmos, we somehow refocus on the sound quality, on the audio quality, and on the possibilities of expressing ourselves. And that's, I think, that's putting music back where it belongs to. And I'm very happy about that.
Okay. And Andreas, last but not least, how do you see the future? What is your vision?
Yeah, right. Well, I could reiterate a lot of these things, but that's boring. Yeah, but just thanks for your insights there. I think that's a really good point to make, that with the trend of the automobile, yeah, clearly you have more time to spend in the car, and with the trend towards more autonomy during driving, yeah, with the idea or the vision of the moving entertainment space, it's very clear that that audio plays a larger role in it. And I think you mentioned lots of content types that make sense, yeah. And I think with Dolby Atmos we establish a platform, yeah, first, and we're first going to do music, and of course it's going to scale, because once people listen to it, they will love it, and it will be broadly embraced. But beyond that, all these use cases that Charly mentioned, yeah, I think they'll come, no question. Another outlook I want to give is maybe also on the visual side. So Dolby is also working on vision. It's not only an audio company. It's probably also known to you that Dolby Vision as a format for, let's say, high dynamic range pictures, better picture quality, better panels, and also there we've created an ecosystem to be able to get better quality picture into a large device landscape. And in cars, yeah, you always also get more screens. Yeah? So we have larger screens in the front, in the rear, and we have lots of technology that also plays there. And to say, okay, now we can also help with different lighting conditions. For example, and better visibility could be also for security reasons, and not only for entertainment, but just to have a better control of what the panel does. That's also something that we're doing. Otherwise, one more.
Andreas,
I think we have a bit more time before we jump to one more. I think we talked about entertainment a lot, right? But I would also say mobile, let's say, productivity. Yeah. So people are also using their time in the car for productivity. Yeah. So let's say video conferencing, voice. Yeah. And I think that's also a place where audio plays a big role. I think you can all give a testament how bad a phone call can be. And you have a great audio system in there, right? So better sound for productivity applications also gives you a much better convenience. So if you travel a long time, you can either enjoy and lean back and entertain, or you can be productive. Yeah?
So there's much more to come. I like the visions. I have no more questions for the moment, but maybe there are more questions from the audience. Yes, please. No? Please. Sorry.
Sure.
Maybe you come a bit closer because it's difficult to understand. Charlie, can you?
Right, so the question, I think, was about how many channels are needed to create this space. Maybe Andreas?
Okay. So how many channels you need to? Okay.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
What are
Well,
the
first-
minimum requirements, basically?
okay.
Yeah.
What's the basic requirements? Okay. So essentially, again, Dolby Atmos is it's not a channel format as such. So you don't the term channels in that sense doesn't really apply. So the production is done in the studio, and maybe Schiller can also explain a bit more. But you're essentially using all your tracks that you have, and it can be hundreds, and you're doing an entire production into the space, not into channels. Yeah. So you're storing essentially the master file of an Atmos production contains all the information of the original mix together with where those sounds objects were located in space, and that's the production format. So in that sense, it's not really a channel format, yeah. And the whole point around is to say this spatial experience, as it was produced in the studio, that's what we're rendering back in the car. So if the question is more around how many speakers do I need in the car, okay, I see a nod here. It is from a prototype perspective. I actually have tested it with my family car, and also there Dolby Atmos renders a really good experience. You know, so we're not limited in that sense. Yeah, so I think that's also something that we're developing over time. We are starting, for example, the Lucid Air that we talked about earlier. That's a premium audio system. It's going to have around 20 channels or 20 speaker drivers. Yeah. That are located all around you, but that's not necessarily the minimum requirement. So it's actually a technology thing. We're still working on it. So at this point, 20 channels gives you or 20 speaker drivers obviously gives you a great experience, but it scales also down to a really low number of speaker drivers.
Are there any more questions? If not, I would suggest that Charlie, Schiller, and Andreas. Oh yeah, okay. So please come close.
Hello, first of all, I'm Samira Mohammed from IAA. Regarding your point, you have mentioned that the future will be the audio zoom possible in such a small space. I would like to ask
Here we go.
if you are physically really can claim that such a audio zoom in the future is possible. I'd like to hear that answer. Thank you.
Okay. So it's the question about the small cabin space, right? Yes. Okay, well, I think that's where also tuning and calibration comes into play. I mean, I've had the chance to witness it myself, and I shared your skepticism. I'll be very honest. I was skeptical. I mean, obviously, living room is a very different space than a car, but it is incredible what you can achieve in a car within that cabin. And I guess maybe it's comparable also to I don't know, headphone experiences. I mean, there you can also have some very spatial, wide experiences. I think what helps in the car is that you also have surfaces that vibrate, that create a certain sound volume, and possibly there are things that you can achieve in a car that would be very hard to achieve in the living room without upsetting your neighbors. So all I can say is, hearing is believing in this case. you can really create a very, very wide audio zone, audio bubble, and it's very three-dimensional. I don't know, Andreas, what would you say?
Such a small environment you are claiming that is in the future possible. Of course, at the moment we know the limitation of the sensor, we know the limitation of the microphones and the speakers that we do have, and the frequency range that we need to really damp for each audio zone. So you mean is that it's physically possible? That's that's gonna be very interesting to see.
Right, okay. I mean, I think with autonomous cars, the whole in-cabin design is going to change radically, right? You're going to have things tilting, moving away, etc., folding away. And then I could also envision that there might be, that the sound configuration might have to adapt to how the cabin changes. But even with the limitation that you have today, where you have a steering wheel, you have seats that don't essentially move, that are pointing in a certain direction, you can really create a very large sounding space. I mean, this is not comparable to a DSP setting that we all know from years ago, where you in the equalizer you put on the stadium mode, for example. It's not trying to recreate an experience. It's really offering the experience that was created when the music was created in the studio, and offering that same experience in the car with the speaker system that's available. But yeah, it has to be witnessed. Yeah.
I understand. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you. There's another question. Sorry, there's another question.
So the Atmos has still been developed. What is the next phase? I mean, what's the next gen for Atmos? I mean, what are you guys working on next?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So next gen for Atmos, I would say, the system or Atmos as such is a system that we rely on since 2012, and the development that has been taking place is to make it more ubiquitous. Yeah, so we have been working a lot on enabling more devices, and being able to create an Atmos experience from a larger span of devices with more technology, to, for example, put it into TVs with just 2 speakers, or for a smart speaker, and all those things already exist today, or a great headphone experiences. So that's what that's where we are today. And the nice thing about it is that the original Atmos master format didn't change. Yeah, and that's also something that that means there's a lot of and that track record gives us a lot of confidence that when we designed the system at the start, it's very flexible, to also then keep on innovating in for example, in the car space. Now, and to your question, the format is so ubiquitous that we can now also innovate in the car, and it's not just a theory; it's practically already there. Yeah, and there's, you can listen to it. So I think innovation is going to be in that sense, more devices, even less speakers. We're using single processing to be able to work with new environments, further improve on the, let's say, working together with partners, how to optimize the experience in the car when it comes to tuning. But again, the basic format as Atmos, I think we've been actually really happy that we designed it in a way that we can still innovate mostly on the content production, and then on the device classes.
Are there any more questions? If not, I would suggest that Charly, Schiller, and also Andreas, of course, here for one-to-one discussions. And we have also our Dolby meeting room. I think it's just around the corner. My orientation is not so good, but okay.
Yes.
So, yes, you are very welcome. I say thank you, first of all, to Charly, to Schiller, and to Andreas. It was really interesting. And like I said, if you want, ask more questions. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you.
Just in case you're wondering, we will resume with normal programming in a few minutes. We're going to change the stage up a little bit. Thank you to the panelists. We've got some excited people backstage, so decide where you want to be. The agenda's full of amazing things. Stick around, go explore. We'll see you very soon.